In creating my learning design template, I follow the Visions and the Mike High 2005 backwards design framework. So I identified a learning outcome followed by an assessment method and a series of learning tasks. In designing the sequence of learning tasks, I largely follow the activities and five-stage model. Because learners are expected to be second-year undergraduate students who usually attend classroom-based teaching and learning activities, they would know each other well and have motivations to engage in online learning activities. Accordingly, the five-stage model is modified. For example, stage 1, access and motivation, and stage 2, online socialization are excluded from this series of learning tasks. My learning activity focuses on stage 3, information exchange, and stage 4, knowledge construction. Because the context is a second-year undergraduate unit, stage 5 development is not relevant to my template, thus being excluded. The template also includes many elements of activity framework. For example, task 1 as the spark that attracts learners' interests, and the tasks 3 and 4 promoting dialogue between learners, clarifying what the instructor needs to do, and explaining the relationship between my activity and the following learning module. Overall, the learning design template is built on these three resources. As H.Mer and Newby 1993 suggest, a learning activity needs to consider level of learner's task knowledge and the level of cognitive processing required by the unit. Because my learning activity is designed for second-year undergraduate students, it is reasonable to assume that they have a medium level of accounting knowledge. As Bisher 1994 suggests, the knowledge of accounting is functional, and the accounting discipline should focus on know-how. Thus, a desired level of cognitive processing required would be medium to high. According to Figure 1 in the H.Mer and Newby 1993, my learning activity needs to use constructivist strategies that better facilitate learning. Accordingly, my learning activity has 4 smaller learning tasks. Task 1 serves as a hook to motivate learners' interests. As human capital is frequently discussed on news, I selected it as the background to apply the concept of asset. Task 1 is consistent with Spark of the activity framework. Task 2 has 2 goals. Theoretically, task 2 is related to constructivism, that students transfer the inert information passed to them from another and construct it into knowledge with personal application and value. Garrison 2011, page 10. Instead of passively reading the article, learners are required to apply what they learned from the unit and the newspaper article to develop some arguments. Given that task 3 is group collaboration and its difficult level can be relatively high, task 2 also serves as scaffolding that prepares learners for task 3. Benson, 1997, the arguments prepared by learners would help them across the zone of proximal development, Harland, 2003, Silver, 2011, and effectively engage in task 3. Task 2 also reflects my own online teaching experience. My teaching experience suggests that many students do not prepare for group collaboration and are free riders in collaboration. Mindful of this, in my design, task 2 is designed to minimize this phenomenon by requiring each learner to develop 500-word arguments before attending task 3. To accommodate learners' different learning environments, tasks 1 and 2 are set as asynchronous and can be completed online. Theoretically, tasks 3 and 4 demonstrates social constructivism that emphasizes the role of social interactions in learning. Vorosky, 1978, Winger 1998, Gonzalez, Diaz, and Williams 2012. Specifically, tasks 3 and 4 demonstrate cooperative learning, where learners work in small groups to help each other learn and co-construct knowledge. Jonathan and Jonathan 2009, Slavin 2010. Empirically, Cohen 1994, Springer, Stanner, and Dowen 1999, and Gillis 2004 found that cooperative learning contributes to better learning. For example, synthesizing 383 empirical studies, Springer, Stanner, and Dowen 1999 provide evidence that cooperative learning can contribute to university learning. It is noteworthy that cooperative learning is also found to be effective in online learning, Plouffe and Pratt 2010. Following the group investigation model in cooperative learning, sharing and sharing 1990 and 1992. Task 3 makes learners work in small groups with 4 to 5 to investigate and discuss the topic. Can human capital be recognized as an asset? Moreover, Task 3 is designed as a structured group collaboration where the potential for cooperation and learning can be maximized. Gillis 2004, learners are given clear instructions of what they are expected to do and how they are expected to work together. As learners would be second-year undergraduate students who have at least some experience of teamwork, they are expected to effectively interact with their group members. Task 3 is also motivated by Curtis and Lawson 2001. They suggest that in determining topics for cooperative learning, the instructor should minimize that a group of learners can break up a topic into parts and assign to each learner to independently complete, because this behavior directly contradicts with social constructivism that knowledge is effectively constructed when learners interact socially. Gonzalez, Diaz, and Williams 2012. Mindful of this, in my design, I select an open-end topic to strongly encourage an active exchange of information and intellectual resources between learners. To further promote social interactions between learners, Task 3 asks group members to work synchronously rather than asynchronously. Unlike Task 3 with a focus on intra-group interactions, Task 4 encourages intergroup interactions. Providing and receiving comments across groups can initiate more dialogues between learners, reinforce the idea of the social constructivism that knowledge is co-constructed in a socially shared space, and motivate learners to reconsider the topic from different aspects. By using Blackboard learning management system and Zoom, I have provided a space for them. Task 4 is also a structured group collaboration. In Task 4, learners will experience personal learning at the same time support the development of their peers. Task 4 is related to the work of Dingler 2008, exploring online learning at the university level. Dingler 2008 found that using an online forum like what I propose to do in Task 4 provides a more comfortable space for learners who are shy or a non-native English speakers to more engage in the feedback and allows learners to practice with developing written arguments. To facilitate the cooperative learning in Tasks 3 and 4, Dropbox and Zoom, two user-friendly software packages are used for convenient and efficient collaboration. They allow users to work together in real time despite being in different geographical locations. Since 2020, I have delivered 5 accounting units for undergraduate students with Zoom. Well, Zoom has breakout room function that enables group collaboration. As the instructor, I received negative feedback for using online group collaboration. For example, many students told me that their peers remained silent and did not even turn on camera during group discussion. Clearly, such inactive behavior made the collaboration unproductive. My own learning experience suggests that engaging in online group collaboration can be difficult as it can be affected by the internet connection issues. I can be easily distracted by incoming emails or notifications, and it is hard to observe others' body language. Mindful of this in my design, I suggest the instructor, along with his or her helpers, to monitor group collaboration to reduce the occurrence of inactive behavior. Overall, the 4 small learning tasks together enable learners to experience individual learning as well as co-construct knowledge and contribute to a community of practice. It is noteworthy that 60 minutes of my inquiry-based learning activity are used on cooperative learning. To evaluate the effectiveness of my learning design or my learning activity, I will send a survey to learners at the end of this unit. The survey would let me know how to improve my learning design or my learning activity to facilitate learners in the future. The 4 tasks use Blackboard learning management system. I acknowledge that Blackboard is expected to follow the principles of multimedia design as stated by Mayer 2008 and to minimize a cognitive overload and enable learners to engage with content in effective ways. However, because Blackboard is centrally managed at the university where I work, I have no control on the design of this learning management system. As Dropbox and Zoom are managed by third parties, their design issues are also beyond my control. To improve the accessibility of my learning activity, tasks 1 and 4 could use screen readers to facilitate learners with visual impairment, and task 2 could incorporate voice recognition and word prediction. However, whether such accessibility technologies will be used depends on the final approval of university. Task 3 could use the built-in live transcription function of Zoom to facilitate learners with a hearing impairment or learners whose first language is not English. I also show 24 references mentioned in this recording in the last 3 slides. As you can see, the references are in alphabetical order and follow the APA format. Thank you very much for your listening.